my job title is Senior Extension Program Specialist, specializing in integrative pest management, which means I help people with bug problems
Okay.
or any kind of pest problem.
Well, most people have those problems, so I'm sure you're in high demand.
For the day, but yes.
So, as of right now, apparently there's some sort of cricket invasion happening here in East Texas. And based on what I've heard from other people, this is somewhat out of the ordinary in terms of the numbers that people are seeing. For some reason, they feel like there's an increase in the population as of right now. So I was wondering if you have any thoughts on that or maybe some insight as to why that's happening.
Well, the real reason has to do with weather. Moist spring, moderate temperatures, then we went into heat. And with the heat, now they're out there. They were out breeding earlier this summer, enjoying that rain and that cool weather. And as the weather has progressed, well, they're still out there. They still have kids. They're not so much mating, but now they don't like it really hot. So they're going to get closer to wherever it's cool. And then even outdoors, what attracts them is they are attracted to a lot of bright lights. So if you've got, a, a light at your house out on a pole, a lot of us do out by our carports or whatever. So they'll be attracted to the lights there. In town, I mean, if you're a car dealership, you're an athletic field, you've got the stadium lights up from the minute the sun almost goes down until midnight, 1, 2 a.m. Well, they're just out there. Once you shut the lights off, they're just going to drop. And a lot of times when they drop, they're dropping either in a parking lot or by the door of a building or someplace else because, again, why not? I'm just looking for a place to hang out and find some other insects for me to eat. And hey,
That's what happens. Yeah, it's very interesting. So would you say that there's been any significant differences with this year's weather that might have caused an increase in the population, or just kind of what you already said?
he said, I mean, crickets really they need three things: enough of the weather moisture to make them, and then the right amount of food, and then a little good place to harbor. So with a lot of vegetation, I mean, I don't know about anybody else out there, but in my yard, my plants grow like gangbusters. So now they've got extra places to have it. So in other words, if you've got a vine, well, they can get up underneath the vine. If they've got, vegetation on the ground. And then you just throw in all the other stuff that we have, our own human garbage. You've got debris, maybe you have an old fire, wood storage, something like that. I mean, there's just so much, and it just becomes what we refer to as conducive conditions for them to breed.
Okay.
Thankfully, they're not locusts. That could be worse.
Okay, because locusts are more harmful, I'm assuming, to like vegetation and stuff, or
No, they are, well, they can be harmful to vegetation, but it's the sound. That sound you hear at night, and it's not the cricket, it's that cicada. I mean, locusts are in that family, so that sound. I mean, crickets they got a chirpy sound, and yes, they can drive you absolutely crazy. But locusts and cicadas, they can get some good decibels going.
oh, I definitely know what you're talking about. I think cicadas keep me up at night sometimes.
And it's just, again, moisture,
Yeah.
enough for them to feed on, because I live in the city, and I was out looking at my irises. I had like 5 or 6 cicada carcasses because they mutate, molt, not mutate, they molt, and they go from one stage to another. Well, their fourth stage was all around, and I was like, that's five. That's five out there. Not one, five. So yes, we've had a wonderful year for insects.
I mean, yeah, you're staying busy, I guess.
Well, I mean, if it's not the crickets that are driving y'all crazy, I'm gonna guess a mosquito or two's probably driving you even more crazy. And if you're out on a dry field, it could be chiggers. I mean, we have really seen an increase in a lot of our insects, but again, they all need three things: food, water, harborage. And the food or the water sometimes comes in the form of nature. Nature grows, they can.
Okay. Do you have any
Okay.
tips? Do you have any tips for people who might have a problem at their house? Or I spoke earlier with a pastor at a church, and he said that they've been pretty rampant in there. So, are there any preventative measures that you would recommend taking?
So yes, the biggest preventative measure is if you don't want them in a building, make sure your doors seal correctly. And the easiest way to check that is take a credit card, see if you can slip it under the door. If you can slip it under the door, or a pencil tip, or even, a hard piece of cardstock or something, chances are a bug can get in. And I'm talking anywhere from an ant to a spider to a cricket to a cockroach. Okay. If you don't want anything in, sealing up doors, sealing up windows. The other thing, what lighting do you have? Do you leave your front porch light on every night? If you do, change that light bulb out. So a lot of our insect species are drawn to a specific wavelength, and that regular white light, the old sodium halo lights, they have more light. LEDs, that's a different wavelength, not as attractive. The old ugly yellow lights, the reason they work on bugs is because, again, it has a different UV. So making sure you don't have lights shine them away. I mean, we all want to protect our property, but I tell everybody, yes, you want your door to be illuminated, but you shouldn't have the light on by the door. It should be out away and aiming at the door.